Isn't that just the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in a Fallout game? Hey Kings, welcome back to the Augustus Maximus channel and World of Fallout New Vegas for the final episode of the Enclave mod playthrough, where obviously we're playing for the Enclave as the Enclave in the name of the Enclave and doing a whole bunch of stuff for the Enclave as the name of the mod suggests. And I believe we got a whole bunch of orders to go back and deal with some possible situation that has to do with, well, the NCR and the Brotherhood and everyone like that. So let's get talk to Scully.
It's good that you're here, Courier. We have a potential situation on our hands. It was gonna happen sooner or later, but the Brotherhood of Steel and the New California Republic are confronting us with demands. The Brotherhood have an envoy outside the bunker, while the NCR have sent a negotiator to our outpost at Searchlight Airport. Seeing as you're as close to a third party as we have, see if there's anything you can do about it. Peacefully, if possible. I'll get back to my work.
Right, so the two annoying factions when it comes to actually playing the Enclave, the two annoying factions finally turned up. It's interesting that the Legion didn't want to do anything with us. Would have been interesting to actually ally with the Legion for sort of an Enclave Legion run, but I mean, you can still do that anyway after you finish this mod. Obviously, you can just ally with the Legion and do a whole bunch of stuff for the Kaiser. But let's go talk first of all to the Brotherhood guy or girl who's right outside the bunker. The Brotherhood envoy, and oh, there's still a Richardson elite guy here. Okay, so let's loot some stuff and let's go talk to the Brotherhood girl, it seems like. Yep, let's go do some diplomacy.
Do you speak for the Enclave? I am here on behalf of the Brotherhood of Steel with a list of demands which must be met. The Enclave has been sworn enemies of the Brotherhood and committed various atrocities against us and the Wasteland as a whole. We therefore demand that all documents related to Enclave activities be turned over to us, and the leadership here face war trials. If you don't accept, there will be dire consequences.
Yeah, how about a big ol' no?
What say you? That depends. This is very true. I can't ignore what you've done for us. If you vouch for them, I suppose it'll have to do.
Bye. That's that's actually cool that they do involve some speech checks for you for this sort of diplomatic mission. It's cool that the mod actually decided to include something like this, because obviously speech checks when it comes to Fallout New Vegas is one of the most integral things if you actually want to have some fun in the game and roleplay a little bit and just do a few missions that actually involve some talking. But here we are in Searchlight Airport. I can already hear. Is that the NCR envoy guy just getting absolutely blasted by our kings in armor down there? Yes, I do believe that is the NCR envoy. So looks like the negotiations didn't go all that well, and it looks like he's getting hammered quite heavily. So let's try and save him. At least NCR negotiator is unconscious. Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful, and that's a vertebrate landing. So let's go and hopefully negotiate this business here.
The person I'm supposed to speak to. I have a few demands from the New California Republic. The immediate annexation of all Enclave territories. The Enclave has been a significant threat to the NCR in the past. We can't take any chances. Return with your answer.
How about a no?
What's your answer? What? true, you have been an asset to us. Fine. We'll have to take your word for it.
I mean, I wonder what sort of repercussions we would face if... Is that the Richardson Elite? The Richardson Elite landed as well. Oh man, this is quite a dynamic situation here. We got the NCR, we got the Brotherhood, we got the Richardson Elite, we got the our Enclave doing a whole bunch of stuff. So this is quite a dynamic situation. I mean, maybe they went in to support actually the NCR here. Maybe they do have some sort of agreement. Now that would be quite an interesting turn of events. But looks like things have resolved themselves. But it would be an interesting playthrough actually if you failed both. If you failed both of those like speech checks, or both the reputation and the speech check. That would be quite an interesting situation, because supposing something like that happens, you'd probably get hit squads from the NCR after you, right? But the Brotherhood doesn't necessarily send anyone after you. Maybe a few soldiers would just attack your bunkers and maybe the airfields. But other than that, I don't really see the Brotherhood, limited as they are, actually doing anything. Which is quite an interesting situation. But luckily we resolved the situation, and so it's time to talk to some leadership positions here. Actually, it's just time to go back to Operative Scully and tell him that yes, we have resolved the situation. Everything is fine between you, the Brotherhood, and the NCR.
Something to report? Thank you for dealing with that, Courier. Considering all that has happened, them confronting us was unavoidable. I suppose we'll have to wait and see how this all turns out.
Okay, so that's been resolved. But any more quests? Yeah, General Jameson has something for the final assignment, and I remember this sort of order. That's why I knew this is going to be last episode. This is the final mission from the good general, the general that's going to lead us to glory. Yes, and restore the Enclave with enemy the Mojave and everything like that. And a nice shot of the Vtuber there, definitely like that. Here we go.
It's time, soldier. We've scoured the abandoned bunker for clues as to where the enemy went, and we finally found them. They've secured an old Chrysler factory to the north of New Vegas. It appears they're trying to retool it for weapons and armor production. They seem to have mustered their entire force there. We need to act now. We win this, and the Richardson Elite are no more. Prepare yourself and meet me at the Searchlight Outpost ASAP. The Vertibirds will take us as close as they can.
Okay, I don't see why we couldn't have just been transported there from this position, because it seems like there's a whole bunch of Vertibirds here as well. Maybe we could have just, flown to the airport and then, flown to the destination with all the soldiers, or just went to the destination itself. But is the general just gonna run there? I mean, he's legitimately just running there. I thought they teleport him there, to signify that yes, he's actually flying there and everything like that. But we're just gonna have to erase him. We're just gonna have to have this big ol' race across the entire Mojave up to the airport. It's gonna be the best thing ever. But that's a very interesting sight to see. So here we are at the airport, and it just dawned on me that there's one person we haven't really talked to that much.
Who are you and why are you interrupting me? Enlisted? Well, you're out of uniform, soldier! Where is your power armor? Wasn't given any. You expect me to believe that? You've lost a highly expensive sort of Mark II government-issued power armor, you moron! Get yourself a new son and report back to me for orders before I have you fed to the death claws! What was that? Are you forgetting something, maggot? I am not a sir! I work for a living, you moron! You call me Colonel or Colonel Dornan! Do I make myself clear? You are not to question me! You are not to question your superior! You do what I say, how I say, and when I say it without question. If I tell you to run, you will ask how high. And if I tell you to die for your country, you will most certainly die. Do I make myself clear? Now, stop wasting my time, Megan, and serve your country!
And we will most certainly do just that. We've actually been given a new mission: retrieve your equipment. But let's go talk to the general. I think it's just appropriate to do so.
We've already sent forward scouts to secure the tunnel, and the vertibird is standing by to bring us in close. Are you ready? Good. Time to go.
Okay, so we don't have to walk there, don't have to teleport there, don't have to do anything because we are being flown there, supposedly, even though, it's just teleportation. This is basically a loading screen, which is actually quite nice. I quite like these sort of small little tidbits between combat interactions where you're just flying somewhere. It's in lore, it's thematic, it makes sense and everything like that, so it's kind of cute, I like it. And so here we go. This should be the final assault, and it looks like we do have a couple of death claws. Hopefully those are not enemy death claws. No, it seems like they're our death claws. Actually, it seems like this'll be the final showdown. So let's bring out the big guns, and let's try and get ready with some. I'm not entirely sure. Actually, maybe we should wait for the enemy to first appear before we do anything, because maybe there's a speech or something. Actually, that would be kind of cool if we actually have a speech. Looks like we've got some robots. That's really cool. Here we go. We have a speech.
Our work has brought us to here. Today, we will finally rid ourselves of the vile General Rowlandson and his ilk. It'll be tough, but it must be done. This is the plan. The tunnel opens up directly beside the chrysalis manufacturing plant, though the main route to it will undoubtedly be blocked. Instead, we will push forward into a maintenance room off the highway. It's close enough to the factory proper to use explosives and breach the wall. We then make our way through the factory. Once we exit, it's a clear path to the offices. That is our target. Thanks to the courier having helped secure the EPA labs, we've managed to fit death claws with control devices to help with our attack. Since we've managed to reactivate the vertibird refueling plant, we'll have air cover during our assault. With the old Robco factory under our control, we'll also benefit from having some robots bolster our forces in the attack. Good luck, soldiers. Let's give them hell. You've heard the plan. Are you ready? For the Enclave.
Truly inspiring, and such emotion, such emotions are now dwelling within my heart, even though they weren't actually in the good general's voice at all. We could all feel them, supposedly. But it's actually kind of cool that because we did all those side missions, like during the EPA labs and clearing that of the Richardson Elite, and then during the refueling station side quest, and during the Robco station or the Robco facility side quest, we actually do have the robots, the death claws, the vertibirds, giving us air support, and that's actually really cool. I really appreciate that. That's really General Jameson is unconscious. Well, we lost our leading commander right away, so that's wonderful. This is just like Hearts of Iron 4, where your general gets instantly sick at the moment you enter combat. This is just like Hearts of Iron 4. But as you can see, this is the assault. We are gonna be bringing out the big guns, and obviously because we have a whole bunch of death claws and everything, this is going to be quite the engagement. It was a blast off right from the get-go, like 3 cars exploding and everything like that, and this is going to be a purely just combat-oriented instance right here. This would have obviously worked better in something like Fallout 4, but obviously we saw in the Fallout 4 mod that this is a very similar instance to that one. You could say that the two mods are very similar to each other in a sense, but obviously within this mod we face off against sort of a different Enclave group. I guess when, compared to the Fallout 4 mod where we essentially fought against the Brotherhood of Steel. And it makes sense, lore-wise, as to why we're not fighting the Brotherhood of Steel, because the Brotherhood of Steel has one small little bunker, and that's all they have. So, maybe that could have been a cool side mission, like, maybe if you fail, I'm not really sure if that's actually in the game, maybe if you fail the negotiations, then you get a mission to destroy the Brotherhood. And if you fail the negotiations with the NCR, maybe you go assault, like, Camp McCarran. Maybe you do some negotiations with the Fiends, but that's probably not actually what happens. And, use the detonator. Okay, so we'll just use the detonator here. We actually have two of them, which is kind of a strange thing to consider. But onwards we go. And it's a bit of a conundrum as to what to do, but I have all this ammo. I have basically 2,000 5mm rounds, so let's use this minigun. I have guns of 100. I have a lot of boosts to my essentially damage with ballistic weaponry, so hopefully this will do a whole bunch of damage to them. The Gatling laser gun wasn't doing much, or the Gatling laser wasn't doing much, so... Laser Gatling, whatever. The laser minigun wasn't doing much. So let's see what this does. And let's actually chuck some, Nuka-Cola Quartz. Not sure about Victory. I definitely don't like my perception being a bit lower, but maybe let's just do a few boosts, some healing, maybe a whiskey. Yep, there we go. And let's see what this actually does. And it's doing something, but that guy just ran past us, so let's ignore him. Let's see how much damage we can do in advance with this thing. And we aren't doing actually all that much. Oh, here we go. A little bit, but we're missing a lot of the shots that we're taking, so... I don't know, maybe I should have actually upgraded the minigun before, but we're melting them. 1,000 rounds for one enemy soldier. That seems to not actually 1,000, but roughly 100 rounds for one enemy soldier. I mean, that's it's 5mm ammo, so it kind of makes sense. We're only level like 17, 18, something like that. So. It does make sense. It does just kind of show you just how OP the enemies here are, because not only do they have extremely high damage thresholds because of their armor, they also have really powerful weapons and everything. So this is basically this final battle is sort of trying to showcase just how important it is to actually prepare for this mod, and bring definitely more than one follower if you can. So if you're playing vanilla and don't have the sort of more companions mod, bring like Veronica, because you can actually bring Veronica with you, and bring maybe like Edie or Rex or something like that. That would actually be really that seems like it'd be really a cool sort of technological battle. And because Veronica is an absolute tank, she would actually be really useful within this instance, but within this mod entirely, just as on a whole. But I decided to bring Cass because, well, I don't know, for the whiskey mostly, because I wanted to test out if it's actually useful. That little perk she gives you, we get no debuffs from chugging alcohol, and you actually gain more buffs when you chug whiskey. You gain +2 damage threshold, which is actually quite strong. And you find whiskey all over the place in the wasteland. You find all sorts of alcohol throughout the wasteland. So having a companion is actually useful when doing that. That's always a good thing, isn't it? Right, here we go. Forward we move because we've looted a lot of bodies. Hopefully this will be a bit of a breeze. And here's Dornan.
Die! But I'ma fight you, maggots! I order you to stop dying, or so help me, I will personally hurt you in the afterlife. I will put your spirits on hangar duty. Do you understand? Now go out there and do your duty for your country! Soldier, what are you doing? You are still out of uniform!
Absolutely lovely. The voice actor doesn't exactly fit, but he's supposed to be Dornan Jr., so, maybe he's a bit younger. He could be like 19 for all we know. We don't necessarily know. I mean, yeah, doesn't have to be even his son of Sergeant Dornan. He could be, I don't know, his nephew, something like that. Which is kind of, it's cool that they included Dornan in this, and I really appreciate something like that. Good old throwback. We could always do with that. And yeah, he's actually much taller than the rest of the Enclave troopers, which that's something to consider. A big, not necessarily wide, but a tall boy. He is a tall boy, a tall lad, and that's that's always imposing if you take into consideration the position he's in. But these guys, look at that. We're dealing almost no damage when it comes to actually like destroying them, but we're burning through all of this ammo, which on one hand was kind of a good thing, because obviously I stocked up on so much ammo. It's actually a good thing to burn through it. On the other hand, the one thing about using miniguns in Fallout New Vegas, and I think in Fallout 4 and Fallout 3 it works very similarly, is that actually in Fallout 4 it can't work similarly, but in Fallout 3 it works sort of similarly. Because you throw so much lead at them, it's even from a longer distance, there's a very high probability that you're going to annihilate not necessarily them, but their weapon. I mean, look at this. We not only basically, destroyed his armor, but best of all, we destroyed his weapon. So if you eliminate his sort of offensive and defensive capabilities when it comes to actually using any sort of weaponry, you do eliminate him as a threat. At least you eliminate him kind of as a threat, and that's honestly that's pretty decent. I mean, you might not destroy them, but because we have so much, so much support here, even the generals here, the Vtubers are here. Not entirely sure what happened to the Deathclaws, but maybe they got, shredded by the enemy. I wouldn't be really surprised. I mean, any sort of Deathclaw running up against this would get annihilated. Regular Deathclaws have trouble against Vanilla Brotherhood members, and obviously these fellas are boosted to oblivion, so it's yeah, a Deathclaw wouldn't really have a good time facing up against something like this. And there we go, another weapon destroyed. See, we're mostly not dealing necessarily all that great damage when it comes to actually destroying them as a threat when it comes to their physical presence, but destroying their weapons sometimes is enough. It's in regular combat situations, surely once you eliminate the opponent's weaponry, he's basically as good as, almost as good as if you just killed him. Oh, we actually have a trench system here. Now, I'm not entirely sure how useful a minigun would be in the trenches, but you have to imagine that, staring down a minigun while you are in the trenches, that has to be, one of the most terrifying things and situations you can face, from just a purely psychological level. So, hopefully we can frighten these Richardson Elite guys, but it doesn't seem like they're getting very frightened. It's more like we're just staggering them, constantly getting them stun locked, and that's just good enough. So, if it's good enough, it's good enough. But we're almost running out of we're basically running out of ammo for that thing. Let's maybe we should be, we have one more exchange of ammunition, 1.5, exchange of ammunitions or reloads left. So, reloads, exchanges of ammunition, what even is that? But yeah, reloads left, and then we're done. Then we have to switch to something hopefully better. But, because those were initial... Again, General Jameson is unconscious, and luckily that wasn't us, but you can see the good general just laying there. So, he's not a... Okay, looks like the enemy enclave's trying to use some interdimensional tactics on us. Let's keep saving here, because, yeah, the game could potentially crash at any moment. That car there... Why wouldn't you move the cars out? Why wouldn't you just try to maybe salvage the cars, or just tear them down, strip them down more rather, for parts or something, just leaving the cars there? That's one of the most curious things about Fallout in general, is just how many cars there are. And because in the Fallout universe the cars they use, was nuclear generator or something like that. They basically run off of nuclear energy. One car engine could last you an eternity, and because basically generators in the Fallout universe are a premium commodity that you definitely would throw in, I don't know how many members to defend, the members of your community to defend, because it's basically sort of a lifeline when it comes to just energy output and energy, production. It's sort of strange that there's the general just laying there. Not entirely sure if this choke point is going to be the best idea, but let's advance forward. Whatever. This isn't Verdun, but even though it kind of looks like it's Verdun, definitely getting some sort of trench warfare Verdun some vibes here. But they definitely have hate squads here prepared. This would have been a very interesting opportunity to actually use. Like enemy robots, because they do have sentry guns, but they don't. But I suppose we took over the Robco facility, so they don't have access to that. Yeah, I suppose that's why we did all the side quests. So it actually makes sense that we aren't facing like death claws or anything like that. But yeah, it still would have been kind of cool to at least have one death claw, remaining for the Richardson elite. But we never know, what's inside that big old building we are supposed to enter right now. But before that, let's scavenge a bit. Here we go. Time to enter. Yep, another close quarters engagement. I'm not really sure if this, it's not doing that much damage to them. This Gatling laser thing. That's because I obviously haven't, leveled up my energy weapon stats at all, which makes me kind of a failure as an Enclave soldier. But then again, my ballistic weaponry is boosted basically to infinite levels, and well, not infinite levels, but it's basically my guns is at 100. But we actually still destroying their weapons, which is one of the most useful parts you can actually do when trying to eliminate someone. Just annihilate the weapons, make them. Oh my goodness, that was a ghost rifle. Did you see that damage? Did you see the damage? That was definitely a ghost rifle. So we're starting to face some very serious weaponry here, and well, hopefully a whole bunch of these will help me destroy them a little bit. I obviously have the anti-addiction sort of what you might call it, the anti-addiction implant or something like that from Project Nevada. It's actually really useful. It's kind of expensive, obviously, and I think you can only get it from the followers doctors that are near New Vegas. But it's very useful because, especially if you combine it with CAS, because you can just constantly choke down whiskey and everything like that and get all the boosts while mitigating all the downsides. And that's honestly the best part about just running with CAS. Her guns are sort of finicky. You do have to equip her with something really cool for her to be useful. But the passive perks that she provides, those are actually pretty decent. Alright, I had to switch to an ACR because we were seriously running out of ammunition. I still have plenty of ammo left for a variety of my weapons, but not for the miniguns I don't, and not for the Gatling guns I don't. So I suppose this should be his office, right? Okay.
That was close. Traps, just like him. I'll wait up here in case he tries to escape. You go on and finish this, courier.
Not exactly the most courageous general there, but I suppose, he gets, annihilated basically in every single combat instance, so it wouldn't make sense for him to go down there with us. Maybe it would break a few scripts. So let's just go ahead and let's try and do this thing. So it's going to probably be completely fine. We won't get completely annihilated and destroyed every 3 seconds. And yeah, this looks kind of ominous. Kind of an interesting situation we have here. Okay. I see a big container there, and oh my, is that Frank Horrigan? No, it's Subject X76. Okay, so that's the big abomination that is Fallout 76. But it's basically Frank Horrigan. That's kind of cool. I wish more Enclave. The Enclave, it has such a diverse arsenal when it comes to the amount of enemies that can throw. They have death claws, they have robots, they have Vtubers, they obviously have a whole bunch of power armor guys, all the plasma weaponry, all the laser weaponry, all of the iBots. They have Frank Horrigan, so they have basically super mutants. They have they have a lot of stuff. They have a lot of stuff that they can throw at you, and that's honestly kind of an interesting thing to consider. But there we go, that little ambush was, yeah, finally finished off. Nicely done. Didn't get much XP from it, but whatever. The XP gain is sort of broken because of the 2 perks per level mod anyway. You just have to, it's like you get 2 perks per level, but the levels take twice as long to actually achieve, but it boosts you up, sort of more quickly, I suppose. And if we went into this mod without some sort of boost, it definitely wouldn't have ended very, very nicely. But this is actually kind of a cool instance as well. We sort of descend down into the depths, and we're going to, confront the enemy general, because, well, that's what we do, and that's what we are here to do. And yeah, so I suppose this should be... Okay, this is kind of cool.
Ah, if it isn't General Jameson's young protege. Stay your weapon. I'd like a word. I have a detonator right here. This entire room is rigged. It's not like you have much choice. Now that we have that cleared up, allow me to introduce myself. I'm General Rowlandson of the United States Armed Forces. I've been very anxious to make your acquaintance for some time. Ah, such wonderful manners. How refreshing. Tell me, how is Jameson doing these days? It's been a while since we last met. Know him? He used to be one of my subordinates, until he made up with about half my force. No matter. I'm presuming he still keeps that horrendous ghoul around. She goes by the name Dr. Strangelove. Know her? We encountered her at an old lab. Suffice it to say, after she was no longer of use to us, we planned to relieve her of her duties. But as chance would have it, that vile ghoul is, in fact, one of the General's pre-war ancestors. I am still unaware how he made that discovery. Regardless, after he found out what we had planned for the good doctor, he grew a conscience, and seemingly so did half my army. Away they went. True, very true. Very well, I have an offer for you. I demand yours and Jameson's immediate, unconditional surrender. And may hell's gates take you.
Wait, what? Okay, what's that beeping? Those are the bombs? Phew, okay, that was a close one. This general definitely using some underhanded tactics, which is kind of a shame because you'd think that he'd be, well... no, if he was going to use underhanded tactics, maybe he should have thought about using guerrilla tactics in the first place. But that's, I mean, we used guerrilla tactics in the first place, didn't we? I mean, we took out some of their like, facilities, took over their facilities, you know, not exactly in the most honorable way, just sort of, sniping one facility at a time. Then in the final assault, we had to disable their laser turrets, you know, sort of back and forth when it comes to underhanded tactics, so... Gotta give it to him, at least he's playing by our rules, because we definitely would have done essentially the same thing, just, I don't know, like, reverse pickpocketed a big old stack of dynamite, or something like that. That would have been quite an interesting end to the campaign if you just reverse pickpocket, like, a big old cap mine, or something like that, into the enemy general's pocket. That would have been interesting, but definitely not quite the Enclave way. But as you can see, again, we're taking quite a beating here, so let's just do a whole bunch of healing, and let's try and quickly and very swiftly and decisively deal with the enemy force here, because this is the final stretch, essentially. These are like the final 5 or 6 enemies, and considering how many of them we have had to fight, not just in this mission alone, even though a majority of them are basically within this mission alone, but throughout this entire playthrough of this storyline, you could call it, this little adventure for the Enclave, It's well, it has been definitely more than 5. So even though like in vanilla, if you had to fight off like 5 power armor guys with like XO2 or advanced power armor, that would have been definitely a bit of a daunting task, because like even taking out the Brotherhood is quite an annoying thing to do. But here we go. The general is, yep, there he goes. The general is down. And this final trooper is the last of the Richardson elite, so let's play with him a little bit. And oh, he got up. Oh no, he didn't get up. How terrible is that? But yeah, let's go back to our general, and let's talk with him about all of this stuff.
Soldier, we are all in your debt. You've helped us survive against the odds, and for that, we are forever grateful. Know that you are always welcome here to use any of our facilities, and that we consider you a friend. It's now time for us all to rest and gather ourselves before we can truly help the wasteland. But the time will come soon. Now, get some rest, soldier. You've earned it.
Alright, so that was that, and now if you wanted to complete, for example, the NCR playthrough, or even the Legion playthrough, even though that's kind of, non-thematic, I would think so, at least a tiny bit, considering the sort of branch of Enclave that we just played through, it would be completely fine, because obviously this is just sort of a small adventure. You do gain a new companion, you gain a whole bunch of armor, you gain a whole bunch of weaponry, and you gain a new player home and a new base that you can use. So it's actually all fine. And yeah, King, so thank you very much for watching. Thanks for sticking through this little playthrough. And see you next time for more Fallout and more strategy game footage. So thanks for watching again, and see you next time.